A brief video has gained widespread attention, and it contains a moment that Donald Trump would likely find mortifying. A photograph of Trump's hand covered in red blotches has caused a frenzy of speculation on social media. Some individuals have suggested that this is a common indicator of syphilis. However, the person who seemed to find the situation most amusing was Jimmy Kimmel.
Donald Trump has had to deal with a viral moment that was embarrassing even for him. This is a photo. You can see Trump waving his way into court, and if you look closely, you can see red spots on his hand, which many people noted is a common symptom of syphilis.
Kimmel adopted his signature late-night approach by playfully linking symptoms of syphilis to different occasions in which Trump was in the public eye. A photo of Trump with red blotches on his hands sparked a frenzy of rumors on social media, but Kimmel couldn't resist adding his own comical spin to the situation. Although he turned it into a good-humored moment on his show, Kimmel emphasized that he wasn't endorsing the syphilis theory. Rather, he jokingly proposed that the red splotches on Trump's hand were most likely caused by some messy curly fries.
On this pageant, you go over, you're meeting the girls and stuff. One of them comes up to you and says, "Mr. Trump, you're a very sexy man.
You're a beautiful man. You have fantastic hair.
Well, you're a powerful man." Right? You're a powerful man.
Right.
I want to sleep with you. Now, you're not the type that would say no.
I don't want to hurt their feelings.
Right. No, but I mean, you see a beautiful woman, you want to have that.
Soon after, Kimmel brought up an interview from 1997 where Donald Trump referred to himself as a brave soldier for being single in the late 90s. During an interview with Howard Stern, Trump compared his experiences to navigating through a scary world similar to a personal Vietnam. When Stern asked how he avoided contracting STDs from multiple women, Trump called himself a great and very brave soldier. These comments reveal Trump's willingness to engage in sexual relationships with multiple women. What sets this moment apart is how Kimmel uses Trump's own words and actions against him in a masterful display of logic and reasoning delivered with his classic charm. Kimmel cleverly pointed out a contradiction in Trump's previous statements while discussing his stance on a particular issue. Trump's frequent contradictions and illogical reasoning are no surprise, given his tendency to trip over his own words.
In the 90s was his personal Vietnam, but if he has syphilis, that would mean the only Vietnam he avoided was Vietnam. It is possible that Trump may have a condition they call neurosyphilis, and while I am not a doctor, I thought that as a public service, it might make sense for us to go through the list of symptoms.
In the interview, the former businessman turned politician clarified this point by referring to women's vaginas as potential landmines and stating that there's some real danger there. Kimmel noted that Trump had previously said that avoiding STDs was his personal Vietnam. When the conversation turned to history, in 1993, Trump boasted about his unconventional lifestyle as a single man and said that guys who chose not to serve in Vietnam shouldn't feel bad about it because dating during the 1980s AIDS pandemic was also risky. His spouse should be afraid that they won't catch an STD. Oh wait, having Trump is already a curse, but the fun wasn't over yet for Kimmel. He then aired a video that matched footage of Trump's past conduct with recognized syphilis symptoms. However, he claimed that if one of his opponents had been seen holding a splotchy crimson hand, the former president would have handled this quite differently. He would be engrossed. But let's take a look at Trump's symptoms first. They are very funny to say the least.
Beware of these telltale symptoms of syphilis. Mood swings.
No, get those lights off! Off! Turn them off, they're too bright, turn them off!
We appreciate it very much, Tim Apple.
Impaired judgment.
President Trump and First Lady Melania at the White House. The president staring at the sun without glasses at first.
Confusion. Delusions.
Frankly, we did win this election.
Delirium.
Think of it, magnets. Now, all I know about magnets is this. Give me a glass of water. Let me drop it on the magnets. That's the end of the magnets.
Mania.
Mr. Trump posted well over 100 times on Twitter throughout the day.
Psychosis.
So, supposing we hit the body with a tremendous, very powerful light. Sounds interesting.
Seizures.
I don't remember!
Don't be like Dirty Don.
Jimmy Kimmel recently had Trump on his show, where he used his witty humor to leave the former president at a loss for words and the audience in fits of laughter. Kimmel hilariously diagnosed Trump with syphilis and even compared him to a Dirty Don, which is a clever substitute for Trump's own nickname, Honest Don. Kimmel's ability to turn the tables on Trump and put him on the spot was a true mic drop moment that everyone's talking about. Recently, Trump's legal team approached the Supreme Court with a request for complete immunity to any criminal charges related to the 2020 election. Kimmel couldn't resist poking fun at this request, pointing out how unusual it is for a president to make such a legal claim. Kimmel also made a joke about Trump's infamous bleach comment from the past, using it to mock the idea that Trump would seek a form of legal immunity. It's clear that Kimmel's humor and sharp intellect will always keep Trump on his toes. Donald Trump is requesting a unique form of protection from the U.S. Supreme Court that he believes will help him avoid being charged with election-related crimes. He is drawing a comparison to his own recommendations for fighting illnesses, saying that a president requires this safeguard to perform their duties effectively. Trump is convinced that without it, a president's authority and decision-making ability will be compromised. He is optimistic that the Supreme Court will grant him the immunity he has requested, as he is wealthy enough to potentially sway the judge's decision. If he is unsuccessful, Trump may simply claim immunity without fear of repercussions.
He believes clears him of all wrongdoing. He raged in all caps, "A president of the United States must have full immunity, without which it would be impossible for him, her, to," suddenly he's into pronouns, "to properly function. Even events that cross the line must fall under total immunity, or it will be years of trauma trying to determine good from bad."
The concept of total immunity for the President of the United States is a controversial one. Some argue that it is necessary to ensure that the President has the power and authority needed to make important decisions without fear of legal repercussions. However, others argue that this kind of immunity would be a dangerous and unprecedented expansion of executive power. President Trump has been a vocal advocate for total immunity, arguing that it is necessary for him to be able to make the tough decisions that are required of the commander-in-chief. However, many critics have suggested that this is simply an excuse for him to engage in illegal and unethical behavior without any consequences. It is important to remember that the president is not above the law. While they do have certain legal protections and privileges, they are still accountable for their actions. Allowing the president to operate without any kind of oversight or accountability would be a dangerous precedent to set and could potentially lead to abuses of power and corruption. In short, while it is understandable that the president would want to have some degree of immunity in order to make important decisions, this should not come at the expense of the rule of law. The president must still be held accountable for their actions and must be subject to the same legal standards as any other citizen. Anything less would be a betrayal of the principles that our country was founded upon.
Denial of criminal immunity would incapacitate every future president with de facto blackmail and extortion while in office and condemn him to years of post-office trauma at the hands of political opponents, which sounds bad, right? And yet somehow we've had 44 presidents before him. That never happened to any of them except for this one guy. Why do you think that is? Could it be because none of them tried to violently overthrow an election they lost? I don't know. Maybe. The appeals court...
In recent news, the topic of whether or not former President Donald Trump should be granted immunity from prosecution for his actions while in office has been a hot topic of debate. However, it seems that many of Trump's lawyers are pushing for this immunity, claiming that it would set a dangerous precedent for future presidents if he is not granted it. But is this really the case? Should a former president be immune from prosecution simply because they held the highest office in the land? Many people, including talk show host Jimmy Kimmel, don't seem to think so. In fact, Kimmel recently took the opportunity to speak out against Trump's lawyers and their claims of immunity. He pointed out that no other former president has had to beg for immunity, and that it is only criminals who seek a safe house from prosecution. Furthermore, Kimmel argued that anyone who violates the Constitution or the laws of the United States should face legal consequences regardless of whether they were once president or not. After all, no one is above the law. It remains to be seen what will ultimately happen in Trump's legal case, but it is clear that the debate over immunity for former presidents is far from over. As citizens, it is important that we stay informed and engaged in these discussions so that we can ensure that justice is served and our democracy is protected.